My name is Ryan, and if someone had asked me a week ago whether I'd ever wear a dress in public, I'd have laughed, and probably choked on my coffee. Yet here I was, standing in our tiny apartment living room, staring at a pair of delicate heels and a floral dress that my roommate Ethan had somehow convinced me to try on. It all started as a stupid bet. Ethan, smug as ever, had challenged me one evening while we were playing cards. "I bet you can't pull off being a girl for a day," he had said, eyes twinkling with mischief. I'd rolled my eyes. Seriously? That's ridiculous. But he was relentless, teasing me about my past little experiments with makeup and feminine clothes. Little things I'd done in private, nothing serious. One thing led to another, and I had agreed, mostly to shut him up. And maybe because a tiny, guilty part of me was curious. I glanced around the apartment. It was small but cozy, the kind of place two roommates could call home without too many compromises. Ethan was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone with that infuriatingly self-satisfied grin, clearly enjoying my discomfort. The living room smelled faintly of his cologne mixed with the remnants of last night's pizza. It was a familiar, comforting smell, but right now, it was making my stomach twist with nerves. "Come on, Ryan. Don't make me wait," Ethan said, snapping his fingers. "Pick a dress already. You said you'd do it. That means commitment, man." I swallowed hard and turned toward the clothing rack he had assembled. A bizarre mix of bright colors, lacy fabrics, and some surprisingly elegant pieces. My pulse quickened as I hesitated in front of a soft pink dress, the silk smooth and cool under my fingers. My mind screamed, "This is insane. What am I even doing?" Yet beneath the panic, a flutter of excitement stirred. I had always been fascinated by the idea of exploring a feminine side, but I had never dared, never had the courage to go this far. Ethan leaned back, crossing his arms. "No more stalling. Try it on." I stepped into the bedroom, shutting the door behind me. The tiny space seemed smaller suddenly, the walls closing in with my nerves. I stripped down to my boxers and pulled the dress over my head, the fabric sliding against my skin in a way that was both foreign and exhilarating. My reflection in the mirror made me catch my breath. The dress hugged my shoulders, cinched at the waist, and flared out just enough to make me feel feminine, vulnerable, exposed. I tried to steady my trembling hands, brushing the dress down and adjusting the fit. Ethan's voice filtered through the door. "You look interesting. Not bad at all. Wait until you see yourself fully done." Fully done. That phrase sent a shiver down my spine. Makeup, wig, heels, each step promised to pull me deeper into a persona I had never fully inhabited. I wasn't sure if I was doing this to prove Ethan wrong, to satisfy my curiosity, or to explore a part of myself I had hidden even from me. All I knew was that the line between Ryan and this new version of me, Evelyn, maybe, was starting to blur. I took a deep breath, trying to focus on the practicalities. Heels next, then wig, then makeup. Each step was a careful negotiation between fear and thrill. I could almost hear Ethan grinning behind the door, imagining the transformation in progress, and part of me hated that he was right. Part of me also couldn't deny the thrill. As I began slipping on the heels, wobbling slightly at first, I realized something surprising. It didn't feel entirely wrong. My balance shifted, my posture adjusted, and for a brief moment, I caught a glimpse of something entirely new in the mirror. I wasn't just Ryan wearing a dress, I was stepping into a persona that demanded confidence, grace, and daring I hadn't known I possessed. And that was just the beginning. Ethan's challenge wasn't going to end with a simple dress. He had something much bigger in mind, something that would push me to my limits, physically, emotionally, and socially. I could feel it, a mix of excitement and dread coiling in my stomach. The first step had been taken, and there was no going back now. As I adjusted my hair in front of the mirror, straightened the hem of the dress, and took a careful step in the heels, I realized something else. The line between game and reality was already starting to fade. By the end of this bet, I might not even recognize myself, or Ryan. And then Ethan opened the bedroom door, his grin impossibly wide. "Wow, okay. You're officially terrifying. And hot. Now, let's see how convincing my girlfriend can be." My heart skipped. "Girlfriend?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. The word hung in the air, heavy with possibility, teasing, and terrifying reality. Ethan's smirk deepened. "Yeah. That's the bet, remember? You're not just wearing the dress, you're becoming my girlfriend. Let's see if you can handle it." The room seemed to shrink around me. I was about to step into a world I hadn't imagined, a world where every movement, every word, every glance could reveal too much. Fear, excitement, and curiosity tangled in a knot in my chest. I glanced at the mirror one last time. Evelyn, or Ryan, whoever I was right now, was staring back, uncertain but undeniably alive in this new form. And with that, the bet, and the challenge, had officially begun. The next morning, I woke with a knot of anxiety and anticipation in my stomach. The previous night's flirtation with the dress and heels had left me both exhilarated and terrified. Ethan, of course, was already awake, lounging on the couch in his usual casual way, a smirk plastered on his face as if he knew exactly what I was feeling. "Ready for round 2? He asked, eyes glinting with mischief. I swallowed, my throat dry. I was no longer just Ryan. I was Evelyn in the making. Today, the stakes were higher. He wasn't just asking me to wear a dress, he was asking me to embody his idea of a girlfriend, to perform femininity in a way that felt impossible and utterly exposing. I retreated to the bedroom to start the transformation. The silk dress from last night hung neatly on the hanger, paired now with matching heels and a carefully chosen wig. Each item was more than just clothing, they were tools, props that shaped a persona entirely new to me. As I slipped into the dress, the fabric gliding across my skin, I felt both thrill and vulnerability. My reflection in the mirror stared back, a delicate balance of Ryan's apprehension and Evelyn's tentative confidence. Applying makeup was the hardest part. I had never been skilled, and the precision required made my hands shake. Foundation, blush, eyeshadow, mascara, the more I applied, the more real Evelyn felt. My face softened, features highlighted in ways I had never noticed in myself. By the time I put on the wig, letting the synthetic strands fall perfectly over my shoulders, I hardly recognized the person in the mirror. Heels were next. The first step was shaky, a reminder that this wasn't just about looking the part. Walking in them required concentration, grace, and poise, each movement demanding a mental effort I had never experienced. The apartment felt smaller somehow, walls closing in as my reflection multiplied in every mirror. "Wow," Ethan said, appearing suddenly in the doorway. "You're terrifyingly convincing." His grin was equal parts admiration and mischief. "Now, let's see if you can act the part." Acting the part meant adopting a new voice, gestures, and confidence. I practiced speaking softly, walking gracefully, laughing delicately. Each attempt felt awkward, yet strangely liberating. I began to notice subtle changes, how the tilt of my head could change a mood, how a simple smile could feel magnetic, how the sway of my hips commanded attention. Evelyn was growing, and with her, a strange mixture of fear and thrill. Ethan pushed the challenge further. He arranged a mini-date scenario in the living room, pretend dinner, pretend conversation, a test of emotional and social performance. I had to maintain the illusion, responding to compliments and teasing as Evelyn, while my mind screamed that one misstep could unravel everything. As I moved through the exercises, I encountered my first real emotional struggle, shame. I could feel Ryan's embarrassment bubbling to the surface, a mix of fear, excitement, and self-consciousness. I hated the vulnerability, the way every movement felt exposed. Yet, beneath that shame, a thrill surged. Evelyn felt alive in a way Ryan never had. The duality of identities clashed and merged, creating a tension that was as intoxicating as it was terrifying. By midday, Ethan introduced a new element, interaction with others. He had invited a few friends over, all under the pretense of casual visits. Each interaction was a test. I had to maintain the persona of his girlfriend while navigating social cues, laughter, and conversation. My heart pounded as I served drinks, answered questions, and responded to teasing. Every compliment on my appearance sent a ripple of panic through Ryan, while Evelyn basked in the validation. The conflicting emotions were overwhelming, embarrassment, exhilaration, fear, and delight tangled together in a knot I couldn't untangle. The suspense intensified when Ethan hinted at a surprise challenge. I was to step outside the apartment briefly, still in full attire, while he filmed reactions from neighbors and passers-by. The idea of leaving the safety of the apartment, of exposing Evelyn to the outside world, was horrifying. My hands shook as I adjusted the dress and smoothed my wig. The heels clicked against the sidewalk, each step echoing with uncertainty. Curiosity and fear mingled with every glance from strangers. Would anyone recognize me? Would someone comment or laugh? The vulnerability was almost unbearable. Returning home, I realized the challenge was changing me. Evelyn wasn't just a disguise. She was becoming a part of my consciousness. The excitement of cross-dressing for fun had morphed into something deeper: self-exploration, identity, and emotional intensity. Yet fear lingered. What if Isabella, my actual girlfriend, were to see me like this? What if Ethan's bet became permanent, or worse, public? The day ended with a final test of composure. Ethan set up a scenario where I had to respond to increasingly personal questions while maintaining Evelyn's persona. Each answer required delicate negotiation between truth and performance. One slip, one inappropriate reaction, and Ryan could have been exposed completely. My mind raced, body tense, sweat prickling my palms as I navigated the maze of social interaction, emotional pressure, and physical transformation. By the time I finally removed the wig and heels, exhaustion weighed heavily on me. My reflection in the mirror showed traces of Ryan beneath the poised exterior of Evelyn, a reminder of the fragile balance I was maintaining. Ethan's smirk told me this was only the beginning. The bet wasn't just a game anymore. It was a test of identity, courage, and secrecy. And the thought of what was coming next sent a thrill and dread spiraling through me. The following morning, I woke to a strange mix of exhaustion and adrenaline. The previous day's transformation exercises had pushed me to new emotional heights. Every step in heels, every carefully practiced smile, every word spoken as Evelyn had left me drained yet exhilarated. But Ethan's smirk as he handed me a small envelope suggested that the real challenge was just beginning. "Open it," he said casually. "Your next task." Inside was a set of instructions I hadn't expected. A formal dinner at a nearby upscale restaurant. I was to attend fully as Evelyn, behaving exactly as Ethan's girlfriend would. With one twist, Ethan had invited some of his friends, including people I barely knew. The stakes had skyrocketed. The risk of exposure, embarrassment, or failure felt nearly unbearable. As I prepared, the familiar panic returned. I slipped into a soft blue dress, the fabric delicate and cool against my skin. The wig, perfectly styled, framed my face just right, and the heels elevated me with an almost intoxicating grace. Makeup accentuated my features, softening Ryan and amplifying Evelyn. My hands shook as I applied the finishing touches, the reality of the public setting hitting me all at once. Ethan's grin was infuriatingly calm as we left the apartment. "Remember," he said, "Evelyn is charming, confident, and perfect. Don't ruin it." Outside, the world seemed sharper, brighter, and more judgmental. Every glance from strangers made my heart race. Every step in heels reminded me that this was no longer a private experiment. It was a full immersion into a persona I was only beginning to understand. At the restaurant, Ethan's friends greeted us warmly, but their eyes lingered a little too long on me. Compliments flowed, and each one made me simultaneously proud and terrified. Pride, because Evelyn's persona was convincing; terrified, because Ryan's secrecy hung by a thread. I laughed softly, sipped my drink delicately, and engaged in conversation, but the tension never eased. Every gesture, every word required calculated effort. One slip, one hesitation, and the delicate illusion could collapse. Then came the first real test, a flirty comment from one of Ethan's friends. My face warmed instantly, and I felt the familiar twinge of panic. I smiled, played along as Evelyn, and navigated the situation with as much poise as I could muster. Ryan wanted to duck under the table, disappear, but Evelyn had to survive. The duality, fear and thrill, shame and exhilaration, tangled into a knot that made every heartbeat thunder. As dinner progressed, Ethan introduced an unexpected twist. He suggested we take a walk outside, a casual stroll, but with a hidden agenda, a social experiment to see how people reacted to us in public. My stomach twisted. The outside world had already felt intimidating, but now the stakes were higher. Walking down the street in heels, every passerby's glance became a test of my composure. Some smiled, some whispered, and some stared. I felt a strange combination of pride and vulnerability, every step a negotiation between Ryan's embarrassment and Evelyn's emerging confidence. The tension escalated further when a group of strangers approached, asking to take a photo with Evelyn. My heart raced. Each click of the camera threatened to expose my secret, yet I smiled, posed gracefully, and felt a thrill I had never imagined. The adrenaline surged, making my legs tremble in the heels, my fingers clenched the strap of my purse. Returning to the apartment, I thought the ordeal was over, but Ethan had saved the final challenge for last. He had invited Isabella, my girlfriend, to drop by unexpectedly. My heart nearly stopped. The possibility of her seeing Evelyn, of Ryan being exposed completely, was terrifying. I had to navigate her presence flawlessly, maintaining Evelyn while hiding Ryan's panic. When Isabella arrived, her eyes widened in surprise. "Ryan? You look different." My pulse raced. I swallowed hard, realizing that the persona I had embodied for days was now at risk of exposure. Evelyn's confidence wavered under the weight of Isabella's gaze, Ryan's fear creeping back in. Ethan, ever the provocateur, whispered, "Remember the bet. Keep your composure. You're my girlfriend now." Every interaction was a delicate dance. I laughed at jokes, responded to questions, and maintained composure while my heart threatened to betray me. Isabella's curiosity and slight suspicion kept the tension taut, every smile, every gesture, every word loaded with potential disaster. And then, the symbolic moment. A gust of wind from the open window caught my wig, slightly displacing it. Panic surged. Ryan wanted to rip it off and reveal the truth, but Evelyn held on, steadying the strands, forcing herself to smile. The moment crystallized the stakes. I was caught between two selves, and the world could see either, or both. By the time Isabella left, my body was exhausted, my mind racing. The bet, the challenge, and the transformation had pushed me to my limits. I was no longer just Ryan pretending. I had lived as Evelyn fully, navigating fear, excitement, vulnerability, and thrill. But the risk of exposure lingered, the possibility of failure still looming. Ethan's smirk promised that the challenges were far from over. I collapsed onto the couch, heels removed, wig in hand, but the reflection in the mirror told me the truth. Evelyn was no longer a mask. She was part of me now, inseparable from Ryan. And the thought of what Ethan might have planned next, what exposure, embarrassment, or permanent transformation awaited, made my pulse race anew. The climax left me exhausted, exhilarated, and on the edge of fear. Every heartbeat echoed with uncertainty. Could I maintain the balance between Ryan and Evelyn? Would Isabella discover the truth? Would the bet consume me entirely? The answer hung in the air, unresolved, setting the stage for the ultimate cliffhanger. The apartment was quiet, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner and my own ragged breathing. I had collapsed onto the couch, still in the dress, wig slightly askew, heels kicked to the side. Evelyn's persona lingered in every movement, in the tilt of my head, in the flutter of my lashes. I could feel her presence as vividly as Ryan's, two selves tangled together, inseparable, and impossible to ignore. Ethan was nowhere to be seen, which only made the tension heavier. His absence was never innocent. Every time he vanished during a challenge, it meant another twist was waiting, another test looming. I could hear my own heartbeat, rapid and erratic, and it reminded me just how thin the line between control and chaos had become. Then I heard it, the faint click of keys at the apartment door. My pulse spiked. Isabella. My girlfriend. She shouldn't be back yet. I hadn't prepared for this. Not like this. Not while Evelyn was still fully alive on my body and in my posture. Panic surged, icy and immediate. I scrambled, trying to adjust the dress, smooth the wig, even my makeup, but it felt impossible. Every movement reminded me that I wasn't Ryan anymore, at least, not fully. Evelyn was still here, in every curve, every gesture, every subtle tilt of my lips. I could almost hear her whispering inside me, urging me to stay in character. The door clicked open. Isabella stepped inside, her eyes immediately locking onto me. Her brow arched, a mixture of curiosity and suspicion dancing across her face. "Ryan?" she began, her voice hesitant, almost teasing. "You look different. Are you wearing that for Ethan?" I froze. My mind raced. Say yes? Say no? Try to play it off? Every option felt wrong. My fingers trembled, curling in the soft fabric of the dress. Evelyn wanted to respond, wanted to embody charm, grace, and confidence. Ryan wanted to disappear, hide under the couch, disappear entirely. The tension between us felt like a physical weight pressing down on my chest. Isabella took a step closer, eyes narrowing slightly. "You've been acting weird lately," she continued, a small smirk forming. "And Ethan? He's up to something, isn't he?" I swallowed hard. My lips moved, but the words didn't come out right. Evelyn's voice emerged instead, soft, melodic, cautious. I was just trying something, New, she said. The words hung in the air, strange and unfamiliar even to me. Isabella tilted her head, eyes scanning every detail, from the heels to the wig to the way I shifted my weight. Her gaze was sharp, perceptive. She was seeing both Ryan and Evelyn at once, and I could feel the tightrope snapping beneath me. Every second stretched longer than the last. Then, just as she stepped closer, Ethan's voice echoed from the other room. Surprise. Thought I'd make this a little more interesting. My stomach dropped. He wasn't just an observer anymore. He had orchestrated this moment, pushed me to the absolute edge of exposure. The room felt impossibly small, the walls closing in with anticipation. Evelyn's persona tensed, ready to charm, to deflect, to survive. Ryan's fear screamed from deep inside, raw and unfiltered. Isabella's eyes flicked between us, realization slowly dawning. The air was electric, charged with a mix of curiosity, judgment, and mischief. I wanted to run. I wanted to vanish. But there was no escape, at least not yet. And then, the sound of a camera shutter clicked somewhere in the room. My heart froze. Ethan's grin appeared around the corner, holding up his phone. Smile for the record, Evelyn. This moment, it's going down in history. Isabella gasped, stepping back. My legs shook. The dress felt tighter, the heels more precarious, and every heartbeat thundered with the weight of exposure. I realized, in that instant, that nothing would ever be the same. Evelyn wasn't just a persona I could shed. She had become a permanent, undeniable part of me. I looked into Isabella's eyes, searching for understanding, for mercy, for a lifeline. But all I saw was suspense, curiosity, judgment, and the hint of amusement. The room was frozen in time, the tension unbearable, and the uncertainty of what would happen next consuming every thought. And then the scene froze, as if the world had paused to watch. The camera clicked again. My reflection in the mirror behind Isabella showed two figures. Ryan, terrified and exposed, Evelyn, poised and seductive. Both existed in the same body, both waiting, both vulnerable. I didn't know which one would survive the next moment. And neither did anyone else.